Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Mic and music check, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll turn the music down temporarily. I think it was turned up because we were fine-tuning the mic for our guest today, so I will turn that down temporarily. Forgot to do so. Fortunately, they run through the same channel, and there's not much I can do about that. I've tried to figure it out, and it's a pain. Alrighty, so we've got audio and video. Thank you, Atlam, for confirming. Appreciate you very much. Let's go ahead and go over today's itinerary. Boom. Welcome, one and all, to the weekly Dungeon Alchemist map-making show. My name is Mac. I am the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Today's stream is going to be a lot of fun. Let's go over the itinerary with you so you can kind of know what to expect. So, first, we're going to cover our news segment, which we will cover the Goblin Tent and the fine print patch testing. Go over that later in further detail. Damn users, we have an interview with a very special guest, one of our community moderators, Remy, who's been with our community longer than I have, so Remy's in chat following along, so. And then afterwards, we'll have Dungeon Alchemist Q&A, where we will provide real-time AMA support. Oh, well, I will, and anyone in chat. And we will answer your Dungeon Alchemist-related inquiries and provide you guidance in real time. Following that, we'll have the Dungeon Alchemist, or the DAM workshop segment, where we will look at forced perspective maps. I've handpicked a few maps to take a look at, and I think you all will enjoy them. Using forced perspective is a great way to make a regional city or, other map, a larger map that fits in a much smaller space than it should. We'll discuss that more at length later. And then finally, if we have time, the DAM feature segment will be effects. So we'll cover effects at length. So thank you everyone for being here. Appreciate you all so very, very much. It looks like we've got Atlam, Chim, Tropism, Anani, a few other lurkers, which is awesome. Appreciate you all being here. We're going to go ahead and bring our special guest on here momentarily after we do the news segment, okay? So let's dive into that really quickly. Oh my goodness, I see you there and I shouldn't. My bad. Let's fix this. Why isn't my camera working? There we go. Okay, everyone. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Really quickly, I would love to showcase a couple features. Well, one feature in particular. The devs have been working really hard on new objects for the next update, and this particular asset is very interesting. It is a goblin tent. It was shared yesterday on our social media, but if you missed out, you can check it out here. A lot of different things at play here. Some objects overscaled, some objects turned on their sides. This is that sharp, pull they have, but then it's turned to fit. Here we have a casket canoe, if you will. Anyway, very excited to see the haphazard designs we'll get in future maps once FWO2 launches. Hey Zaganza, how you doing? Welcome. Speaking of updates, well, we've got this clip playing on a loop. We've got a small patch or hotfix patch planned hopefully sooner than later, obviously looking into next month sometime. But the team will begin testing on it on Monday. They've been doing a bunch of hot fixes and fixing up bugs and, reported bugs and issues over the last few months. Basically going through and trying to, patch all that out. In addition to that, there'll be a new feature introduced in this update that allows you to essentially make printed maps up to any size you want. In the past, you could kind of pick a paper size, or you may have had to take it to like a print shop. Now there's a new, like a stitched print mode that'll be released in the next update. So you essentially will split up your map or rasterize it into a bunch of equal size paper prints. So if you say have an American legal letter printer, a bunch of 8.5 by 11 prints, or if you're in the UK, maybe you could do like an A2 or whatever print you decide is your preferred. And then it will print the maps in sequence with a bunch of different prints that overlap each other, actually. So they're not like perfectly aligned in this way, like where the paper meets, where there might be a slight gap. Instead, the devs opted to overlap them, so you can kind of tape them where they overlap a bit, so the image is much clearer, less likely to have that weird, gap below. It's a neat development, if I must say so myself. Anyway, that said, that is our news segment for the day. So we will be bringing on our guest momentarily. In preparation of that, let's go ahead and get this set up here and turn on the collab camera again. Okay, Remy, do you want to go ahead and say something really quick?
Hi all.
Should be able to hear Remy at this point and see Remy, I'm hoping. Hey,
I'm
Zach, how
seeing
you
you on the
doing?
stream. If you can hear me, let me know.
You are a little quiet.
I could be a little louder.
Perfect. Or if you could turn your mic up a little bit on your end.
Yeah, let's see what I can do about that.
Looks pretty good though overall. So.
All right, sounds
Isn't her
good.
hat awesome?
Hi Zach. Hi Atlam. Oh, hi Zaganza.
So, Remy is a longtime moderator of our community. Has been around since I believe our Kickstarter days, and
Yeah, I was
has
part
been
of the
around
early
longer
beta.
than me, in fact. So, because I joined the community after the Kickstarter. Remy is incredibly knowledgeable when it comes to Dungeon Alchemist, but also, just tech and computers in general. In her work life, she works in IT for a kind of a multi-state law firm. So, I mean, she knows her stuff when it comes to computers, to say the least. Throughout the segment today, we will be, opening the chat, questions up to the chat. So if you have any questions for Remy about, her experience with Dungeon Alchemist, maybe her favorite asset or upcoming features or wish list for, future development, etc. Stuff like that, feel free to let us know in chat. Preface your question with a all caps question, so we know that that is a question to keep an eye out for throughout the stream. It is really nice to put a face to the name, isn't it? It's so nice to meet Remy face to face. I've known Remy for years on Discord, but I don't think we've ever had a video like face to face this whole time.
No, we were going to get to meet face to face when we almost went to a con here in America.
Yes, almost. I think it might still happen, but that's another discussion for another time. That being said,
I will break out the Eliza costume for that and terrorize everyone.
That'd be great. I'm sure the devs would love that. Okay, so everyone, if you have any questions for Remy, remember to preface them in chat with the question tag, so myself, moderators, Remy know what to look for when they see them. So really quickly, I'll get the ball rolling. So, Remy, you obviously got into Dungeon Alchemist because you were looking for a map making tool. I'm assuming you've been a DM, GM for some time. How long have you been a DM, and how long have you been playing tabletop games like D&D or Pathfinder for?
Probably about 20 years. I started in college with Pathfinder First Edition and 3.5. So that was when I first started DMing. I played other little tabletop games and been invited to more classic D&D. Didn't quite like the older versions, too much math for me. But I really like 5e. I haven't got a chance to DM much for the new versions, though.
So would you say you've mostly are 3.5 and 5e that you've played?
Those have been my favorite. 4 was like adding video game features to a tabletop game. Was not my bag, but I get why a lot of people liked it.
Very cool. So 20 years.
Give or take.
It's
Joys of
impressive.
being 40 years old.
um,
Oh, and
honestly,
yes, the hat came from Etsy to answer the question.
oh, there we go. I was going to say, we're going to have a lot of questions about the mushroom hat, I'm sure.
Uh, yeah,
I
I
already
got
asked her
started.
that preemptively. I was going to answer it, but she got ahead of the game there.
But yeah, I got into this when I saw a Kickstarter for what looked like a really cool map making program. It was $40, which is less than some of the board games I kickstarted, and I was like, well, there's a chance I will never see this actually come to fruition. But it seems like even if they don't fulfill the promises, it'll be good enough for $40.
Isn't that
Because I've
sad
seen
how
Thunder
that's.
Draft and Wonder Draft, and
Oh, gotcha. So you had used other tools in the past, or you just seen and were familiar with them?
I've seen them. We just did Theater of Mind because I didn't have the time to like go through and individually place every asset and all that. So I was like, nope. Here's a dry erase board. Here's some markers. Here's your little minis. We're using our imagination.
Awesome. Um, so do you recall like a fun happenstance where maybe your players did some shenanigans that like really impressed you or made you laugh, or like a memorable moment in your campaigns? Is there like a story you'd like to share with the group?
Okay, so I was DMing for a group of first timers, and we had this little classic Pathfinder type campaign I decided to add a twist to. They kept coming across all these little clues like a missing doll that happened to be like an ugly little doll and things like that. And they kept seeing these goblin patrols wandering around. My group went full murder hobo on all of them. And at the end, they come to this small room and there's just a crying goblin. It's like, you found my doll. And they realized they had murdered this poor little goblin's entire family and everyone had been searching for it. It was
Oh
a little
no.
like, I'm sorry, I didn't think you guys were murder hobos because they were all really sweet people. They just surprised me with how much they're like, this is a game. We have to kill the enemies. We have to get the experience.
Obviously the green guys are bad to them.
Yeah. So,
Like poor goblins. Not all goblins are meanies, okay, people?
yeah.
Okay.
And at that point, it set the mood for the rest of the campaign where they kept adopting all the little evil gobos for themselves. They're like, nope, these are mine now.
So because their guilt, they started adopting every goblin they encountered.
Pretty much. Goblins, they adopted a kobold once. Yeah, basically, they turned it into a game of Pokemon.
Awesome. Welcome, What the Forge Gaming. Love that name. That's hilarious. Hey, Seisu, welcome back. Hope you're well. So we've got a question and like a statement. Let's do the statement first. This is from Sack. Just to say thank you for all the help you give absolutely everyone in the community, and the hat is amazing.
Oh, thank you, Zach. I've been enjoying being a moderator since the early beta, where we convinced Wim originally to turn off some of the colliders around the rocks and shrink them so we could stack them, and all these other little things. I remember Wim was making out this little newsletter at the time, and I'd gone individually and placed all these little hedges to make a maze. And Wim was like, I can just make you a wall. It was really kind of a fun time because there's so few of us. Like, we really got to shape the direction of the early Dungeon Alchemist by our little builds. Wim kept seeing the things we were doing and was like, yeah, we can fix that for you. And so a lot of what you see in Dungeon Alchemist now is just all of us kind of being like, it would be really nice if we could do this thing, and Wim and Carol making it happen, which still happens to this day with multi-story, the import. Like the whole community really has made this such a great product that I don't think any of us imagined.
I don't even think the devs foresaw what it would become at this point, to be honest. Like,
No, because like you're walking around this thing with like a 3-story tall um, wall, which originally we couldn't even do until they gave us stackable objects. I think originally this was just going to be like a 2D battle map maker, and now you can walk around, take pictures, record video for your campaign to go and look at.
it's an immersion engine for sure. Um, it's I honestly, just in my time with the community, it's funny you say that, you guys would just convince Wim to do something, and then, it was kind of like a little bit of a back and forth, because on occasion I'll be like, hey, community really wants this for XYZ ABC, and the devs are like, we don't really want to do that yet. Like the collision toggle was like a huge hill to overcome. I remember specifically how like the devs were against it early on. Um, but yet it's changed Dungeon Alchemist and our like community's map making style for the better. So I do appreciate community feedback and pushback when it comes to like, hey, features you're adamant about seeing or wanting in Dungeon Alchemist. It used to be, yeah, they weren't gonna like allow you to like disable collisions and like stack objects or raise and lower objects. Even no, you don't understand. Rotating objects on any axis is a big deal because that was like a never gonna happen thing back in the day.
Oh yeah, because a lot of the assets didn't have bottoms. So if you ever turned them, you would just see like a thing with no texture. So they had to go through and rework so many of the objects once they decided to do that. I don't think people realize how much work our poor little art team had to do. Also, good evening, Highland Blast. I see you in there. I love your builds.
Hi, Highland Lass, welcome back. But yeah, the devs saw a lot of shenanigans, but I think also they see the potential. Like, I think them like finally, giving in to the community's demands for multi-axis rotation, mirroring stuff, it's going to be a big deal. Every time they give in to community demands, it almost like propels Dungeon Alchemist to new heights.
Oh, I mean, the community's demands are possibly going to change like Unity gaming in ways they didn't think beyond just Dungeon Alchemist because everyone's saying, I need roofs, even though, again, this was always going to be a one-floor battle map making software. Now, um, Carol has released a Unity plugin that's open source for anyone to make roofs the same way we do in Dungeon Alchemist using a skeletal tool.
EA and Sims is in the corner like I told him he should probably try and license it first, but no, he's like, I want to give it away. I'm like, man, you're the mensch. You're seriously.
So yeah, all these little community demands might actually change the way Sims and other games work. It's going to be really funny when one little developer, along with a bunch of people on Discord demanding a feature, can change gaming going forward.
Welcome, Geronimo. How you doing today, my friend? We got a question from Atlam. Knowing how intimately familiar you are, especially with the early stages of DA development, would you say Unity was the right engine choice for DA? If it started development now, would you suggest something else?
I would say they really should have gone. If now it didn't, the version of Unreal Engine out right now is not the version they would have started in. But the current version of Unreal Engine makes a much better gaming system, I think, and is far less resource intensive. But at the time, Unity was the only thing that could handle this in the way that they wanted to, with the drag and the drop, the integrations, the custom textures. So I think they made the right call. I do not know if they release Dungeon Alchemist 2 or something else in the future that they'll
An
stick
engine
with
migration would be insane.
But to do it now, it's impossible. But I love that they use Unity because with permission from Carol, I've been able to dive into the files and play around with it. I was the first person to actually bring in my own custom model that was not on the dev team.
I think I remember you showing images of that back in the day, pre-Hero Forge stuff.
It was a very wonky horse, and the collision toggles were terrible, but I was able to do it. It proved a point to Carol that yes, okay, it doesn't ruin a normal person's system. It works. I also made the first caves with AI in Dungeon Alchemist. I replaced the entire gingerbread biome with cave walls, or the gingerbread room type, I should say. I rewrote the AI for the gingerbread to put cave walls and cave items.
So you've modded DA a few times in the past, you'd say.
And crashed it a lot in the process. Thankfully, Steam has that verify file integrity feature, which puts everything right back.
Oh, goodness, right?
And so, yeah, if any of y'all ever have problems with DA, that is an amazing feature.
Let's pull that up really quick while we're talking about it. So what Remy is discussing is any Steam game, really. Any title on Steam you have, if it's running funky and it isn't working, or it's crashing a lot or freezing and it's like not expected behavior, if you find the game in your library, you right click on it and go to properties, right? Then you go to installed files right here. You can click verify integrity of game files. And what this does is it goes through and it looks for any corrupted files in the install and replaces them. So more often than not, if DA is running poorly, this is something that'll fix it. Toot sweet. So thank you for bringing that up, Remy. Let's see. So remember, everyone, if you have questions for Remy about, her experience with Dungeon Alchemist or as a moderator or in IT, about her as a person, feel free to let us know in chat. Preface the question with question. In the interim, though, what is your favorite Dungeon Alchemist asset besides your own asset, your personal
I was about
one?
to say,
Besides your tea
my own
theater.
little tea theater.
Okay, the tea theater is pretty dope, though. Let's pull that up while we're discussing it.
And it was actually based on a real life backpack that I wear with this little fit when I work at one of my other jobs. But yeah, some of my favorite assets in the game are just little wonky things. Like I love that we now have the walls that are witchy and everything, because I really wanted that kind of like woven wood wall. I also remember making a bank in Dungeon Alchemist, and there at the time we only had one large set of stairs, and those things were just great for an adventure. A lot of things I like are structural. I don't really go in and add too many little things, but there is this cute little cauldron, and it walks around, so I like to stick it in any of my little magical things. There's a magical workshop we built because I was playing Baldur's Gate 3, and we got in a battle.
Gallivanting cauldron?
Yes. He's got little eyes. He's just so cute.
Yeah, the Gallivanting cauldrons. Uh-oh. Oh, I thought his eyes were broken. He's just looking away. That was creepy. Only look at me. All right. So, let's see here. So, you obviously your favorite is the tea theater, if you had to pick, right?
Yeah, I sent pictures of my actual backpack to Wim, and Wim was like, what if we added this little thing here to hang, and what are your favorite types of tea so we could put those in there?
It seems so scary to have a candle right behind your head.
Oh, that's actually just my chandelier.
No, I mean in the backpack.
Oh,
Like a hot
there.
little pot of tea right above your head.
I don't think when I wear mine around it has it, but I do have a little candle warming cast iron kettle and everything.
Reminds me of like one of those like oil diffusers. That's really cool though. Love it.
Yeah, this has actually inspired me to upgrade my own little pack to add the little teacup holder. I've been looking for some kind of perfect branch I could hold things around in.
Any luck so far?
No, but it'll come eventually.
Never noticed the runes here. The Remy runes.
Yeah. And you can actually take things out of the backpack and rearrange it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Wim added so many little details to it. He was... I also like when we made German Viking, one of our other mods who isn't as active anymore, but was here a lot during the early days. We gave him a horned helmet where the horns are backwards, so it was basically like a beer stein hat for a Viking.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. The helmet of drinking.
Yep.
Helmet of drinking. Oh, let me turn off collision.
I mean, and the fun thing is for a lot of these, you can just type in the mod's name to find it, because in the metadata for all the assets, there's various little things, which is
You're in
fun.
all the tea stuff for some reason. All of it, including the teacup. You're attached to it intrinsically.
Weird thing, most people don't know, I did tell Sack, but in the metadata, Eliza is tagged for Sack.
Yeah, he knows this. He's aware. He's very proud of this.
I
think it's because SA at the end. Like,
no, it's just SAC. It's literally in the metadata. I can pull it up and show you.
That's funny. Really? That's cool.
Because there is a JSON file that you can go through and it shows here's the asset's name, here's the asset's ID, and here's all the things that it's tagged under. And SAC is one of the ones for Eliza.
I wonder if that's still the case, because when I search it, nothing comes up.
Interesting. They may have changed it, but in the earlier versions, SAC was.
But yes, this is the character they're talking about, Eliza, who is basically sort of gained reputation as sort of like a eldritch horror that resides within Dungeon Alchemist. You don't want to provoke Eliza. Alrighty, so we got a couple questions that came in. Well, comments, questions. Another one from Atlam. Follow up to Remy's comment about modding the early biomes. If someone wanted to create such a mods for DA, where would they start?
Well, I guess Irenaeus did actually post it in Discord. But I'm not sure if I should say it. Do you think I should let them know where those files are?
How long ago was it posted?
I think it was just during the beta time.
I wonder if that information's still useful. I mean, it's still in the Discord. Technically, it could be referenced by anyone, so I don't think it's like hiding it is really pointless. Might as well share it if you have it.
There are these DAX files. If you change them to a DAM file, you can open it as a map. It's usually about 9 little rooms that change the rules of what assets go in and helps.
So they're the AI programming files, essentially.
Mm-hmm. So they're what the AI actually uses to base its judgments off of. There are separate rules written for how symmetry goes, how many uncertain things like that. So back in the day, I took all the gingerbread walls out, added in these cave walls, changed some other little things. But yeah, I learned I could modify those with permission. A lot of people have actually asked Irenaeus about various things, and he's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I mean, so I feel like it's okay to ask permission for some of these things. Oh, my little cauldron just blew up on my screen.
So, are you looking forward to any of the upcoming stretch goals in particular?
I mean, High Seas is probably the one I'm looking forward to the most. There's so many water features that we don't have, and I was running a ship-themed campaign for the longest time. So I'd love to be able to like start pirates, things like that. Not that we can't build ships now. I've definitely built them. I just would love more
streamlined process and more options would be great for sure.
Like I built a map that was like, here's 4 layers of a ship. It was all one map, and I just separated the scenes and boundary for my players. Mm-hmm. Although sometimes I do play in person. We put the TV on its side, and I just cover everything. My fog of war is a black tabletop or tablecloth. So everyone's like, I need fog of war in DA. I'm like, for our TV. And I'm like, just put a black cloth over it.
No, you giving them solutions, heaven forbid.
I mean, if I'm going to play with DA as a in-person map, I just look at it as like digital Dwarven Forge. It's like, here's high quality 3D assets that you can't actually touch. And, it makes a great little map and move around. It's just zooming in and out until things are where they need to be.
Back to the community, we've got a statement from Sack. You made me a hat back when I was doing assets, still grateful. Well, when I wasn't doing assets, he says.
Yeah, and
Remedy's Cafe is still one of my most popular non-encounter maps.
Aw, thank you, Zach. I mean, you make much better assets than I can now. I just knew how to make basic stuff. I've designed various little items to solve problems around the world for 3D printing. I made a doorstop that actually fits in the door jamb for schools so that they can be pulled by people in wheelchairs, since traditional like wedge doorstops are down on the ground and people with mobility aids can't often reach them. These fit at like 2 to 3 feet off the ground and can be pulled out. They also now glow in the dark and have a string for easy pulling out, just because it's a little safer for schools with lights off and things like that.
Cool.
I also developed a lock that you can put around doors that use the handle variety. So you can actually padlock them and keep people out of doors that like closets in classrooms. So I've done little things like that, but actual models like Sack makes with all the textures, that was a little beyond me. I don't know much about textures or BSD nodes or things like that. So Zach went from, I can never make a model to, I think, probably having more models than anyone else in the workshop.
I think him and Asmodeus are close to each other there.
Oh, Asmodeus, well, with the Pixar god himself over there, like, can make 3D things like he's in Hollywood over there. We are blessed to have those levels of stuff.
It's really nice when
just
you have
for
a
free.
whole server farm backing all your renders.
I still miss my old work computer. I had like 128 gigs of ECC RAM, A4000 graphics cards that I got for $1,700 scratch and dent from Dell. High end, and the parts of that thing are now worth so much because AI has like made Crucial give up selling RAM and everything.
That's nuts, right?
Yeah, the other day I was looking to upgrade one of my computers and I went, oh, I'll just go to crucial.com and then bam, it's like, hey, as of February, we're not selling this to anybody.
That's sad. Man, I've been buying Crucial RAM since I was a boy. It's like nuts to think about.
Yeah. I'm gonna have
Honestly,
to like actual micro
like I
sensor
can
and pop in
understand why
person.
so many people are irritated with AI, not just because of the job aspect, but like computer parts and like also like all the water power prices going up. Man, it's like become like a hydra, if you will, more than a basilisk than anything. Like I don't know. My thoughts on AI are, let's just say, complex. I got a statement here from Atlam. Is there a feature or tool that you'd like to see in DA that no one has asked or talked about yet? Especially considering technologies that may be available in a few years.
I mean, people keep asking for things I would never even think of. And I'm pretty happy. To be honest, I was happy with the beta. I just wanted more assets to put in and build with. My personal thing I would like more of is just more ruined objects, because everything was in ruins was the first like thing released after we came out of beta. And so when we got the ice stuff, there was no ruined ice palaces. When we got the desert stuff, there was not a lot of ruined desert things. Like some alchemist in the desert has blown up his lab. So, but the community assets have really filled in a lot of those gaps. And if I really like, well, I really need like a sandstone wall that's crumpled down. Asmodeus or Sack was like, oh yeah, I built one of those already.
You know, you're saying this right as Wim has revealed himself in chat and said hello. So
Hi,
I think
Wim.
it's not falling on deaf ears per se. Someone who can make a difference about it is here
My
right now. But I
my mood is
agree that
almost
it
always
would be.
purple.
Sorry, what?
Oh, to answer Wim's question, my mood is almost always purple.
Um, with regards to ruined assets, I think it would make sense to have ruined variations of almost every wall and, you know, a lot of assets in general used in the various room generations and exteriors, simply because, you know, at some point you want, you know, a broken bench or, you know, a broken fountain of this design. Anyway, I know that's quite an endeavor to expand our asset collection. I'm wondering with, you know, like the toggling and stuff that we're starting to expand upon with, like, for the shields with all of their, you know, heraldries and stuff. Maybe we could add like a ruin toggle like we have on paintings to make them like scratched, to break them. So they're two assets in one, saving space in the browser, as it were.
And
But yeah, it would be nice to have a ruined version of almost everything, despite how impractical that might be.
I mean, that was always my problem when people were like, oh, I want, before we talked about actually rotating things, it's like, oh, I want a mirror of this object and a mirror of this object. It's like, do you know how many objects we'll have to go through if everything has a on its side version and a mirrored version and a burned version and a broken version? But thankfully, everyone can kind of creatively add things. I do think that the what is it? Are we calling it where we can put down like the little textures over things,
Oh, the
kind of like stickers over everything?
stamp, yeah,
Yeah, because I think that'll change a lot. It's like when all of a sudden you can
the
add char,
decal,
the
yeah.
decal tool. You can add char, you can add slime. That'll help a lot too. But I can't. I am not nearly as creative as most people when it comes to what else could be in DA.
Though I do appreciate, you know, all of the feedback and insight you've given over the years and support to our community. I got to say that personally. As you know, from the community manager standpoint, you are so incredibly helpful on the streams. You know, over the past few years, you drop in constantly, check in on things, and say hello. And also, you know, your presence on our Discord is not to be, you know, underestimated. You know, you're not as active right now as you told me because you're busy with, you know, your work
Yeah,
being a
I
little
work
bit
40
more
hours a
intense.
week.
Yeah, exactly, and
I know
school.
in
So,
school and
you know, I definitely miss your presence because you were so incredibly active and helpful. But I just want to let you know that, you know, your life and your work and your schooling, that definitely comes first. Putting your, you know, yourself first and putting yourself ahead is always a great endeavor. And I'm like excited for you with your new job, and also, you know, the fact that you're essentially, you know, just learning all this cool stuff on your school's dime. You know, it's awesome. Um,
hi Gecko Meko Chan. Currently, Dungeon Alchemist is dedicated to fantasy. That's what's inside the app as it is. There are some sci-fi things that our own artists created and put on the workshop, but we don't really have walls or anything like that that interact with our tools yet. Those may come later, but you can search, find sci-fi assets and put the walls by hand. So many people have uploaded their own as well that kind of really match the aesthetics. If you go into the Steam Workshop asset browser that Mac has pulled up now and start searching, you would be able to see things tagged as sci-fi.
so to that end, there's collections with sci-fi assets in them that you can download entire stacks of sci-fi assets all at once, including walls, flooring, etc. Or if you just search sci-fi on the workshop through
There's the full
Dungeon
sci-fi
Alchemist,
starter package right there.
yeah, there's over 1,500 assets tagged as sci-fi, and even more that aren't. that fall into that category. Um, but as it stands now, there are quite a few maps even that are sci-fi shared on the workshop, simply because we offer the ability to import custom 3D models that are STL, FBX, or GLTF/GLB files. So you can import simple models or full color or even animated 3D models. And then when you import a 3D model, you can use it in your own personal builds or share it on the workshop, which many people in our community have done, which expands this collection, giving more options to our, various map makers. There's
Yeah,
cyberpunk maps, there are sci-fi. Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
I saw someone do a full Fallout map with like that kind of retro futuristic vibe. And I was like, I never would have imagined this could happen in DA.
So
But it,
if you look at like even sci-fi based maps, like this one's one of my favorites. It's like a little, like a sci-fi, just a neat little docking clamp for a ship, and then a little, headquarters there behind it. But a lot of community members have started sharing maps that are sci-fi because they've taken advantage of the assets on the workshop and then integrated them into our map maker. That said, in the future, we do plan to offer optional expansions that dip into different aesthetics like sci-fi, cyberpunk, apocalyptic, etc. Maybe even modern and stuff like that. That is, though, quite a bit down the road after we've left early access and delivered on all of our remaining Kickstarter stretch goals.
and if you have seen any of our socials or the Discord, we did release the official roadmap saying when we'll come out of early release. We have the high seas right after that as our first promised free Kickstarter one for everybody after that. But yeah, it looks like we're going to be coming out of early access soon.
Hopefully,
And to be fair,
before the
though,
end of the year.
I thought this was a fully featured program back in the beta. And Wim, I do not think I've like reverse engineered the entirety of DA on my own, but I did like to dig in the files for fun. Thank you for letting me do that. I guess it was more Carol who gave me the go ahead.
Okay, so I don't want to keep you for too much longer. We do have a couple questions though that have come in the last little bit, so let's address those, and then you can enjoy the rest of your day. This one's from Highland Lass.
I am not nearly as realistic as one would expect. I kind of temper my expectations by what Dungeon Alchemist can do, and also what needs to be done by players. They're never going to notice that, oh, this castle's walls are actually like 18 feet high. I'm just like, whatever. It's two stories. It's 3 stories. Whatever DA can do. Some things are just way too big to put on a map. My computer can handle like a 200 by 400 map, but like zooming in and zooming out, it's just too much of a pain. So I will often just be like, here's where my players need to battle. I did build a person with a Tabaxi monk, so I had to start making bigger maps so they could run around with those. But
For those tuning in on other platforms, the question was from Highland Lass. She asked, you briefly mentioned real places at some point when I joined on stream. I'm pernickety on realness. Would you want to be as accurate as possible as it can be within the limits of DA? And that was what Remy was just replying to, just for those following along on other platforms who may be a little lost.
honestly, I think a good tip for most DMs is to just get out of your head about being as accurate, being as real, adding as much stuff, and just focus on what makes it a good game. Like, if your players don't interact with stuff, why waste an hour of your time putting all these little details into your map? Just put what you need. If your players need to run around, make a wider map, make a bigger map, add elevation, but don't feel like you have to have stories and stables. Just stack some boxes. They'll be fun. They'll have fun. Your archer will climb up the little boxes. They'll start shooting people with advantage. People hide behind trees, but you don't have to go in and be like, oh, I need a full forest. I need this. The simple things often work.
To add to that point, I often state on stream. So we as GMs expect our players to suspend their disbelief on all of these things they can do. They have all these powers. They can shoot fire from their fingertips. They can fly and teleport. And then like we get hung up on the details as DMs over like very specific things, and often it's really things that trip us up, that are, you know, things our players won't ever notice or care about that much. They're usually there to kick goblin butt and gather loot, right? Like they don't notice so much of the details as we do as game makers, as game masters. And I think that's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's our curse and our blessing. We notice all these very intricate details and want to map out this story, you know, on paper and in a map, and like have all these contingencies. But at the same time, I think we need to find a place where, you know, we as GMs, DMs kind of sort of let go and realize, you know, the game moves along without us, and the dice kind of tell a story, and you don't always need to have this perfect map that matches the blueprint to its exact entirety. You know, you are the DM, you can make this world a little bit different if you need to fit what you have at your, you know, at your fingertips. So, you know, and that is something I often try to remember when I'm making a map. You know, if I don't have the exact thing, you know, I'll survive. I'm sure my players will survive. They'll enjoy it regardless. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's see here. I have a question from Asmodeus that we overlooked there.
Oh, I'm sorry, Asmodeus.
It is, do you LARP?
I actually, one of my side jobs is I work at a fantasy tavern as an NPC. So I am part of a live action role play cast. And I play a mushroom matron as well as a tiefling bard. In the lore of our world at this tavern, I am the only bard to have graduated from Wizard College. I learned exactly one spell, which was glamour, and I used it to get everyone else in my class expelled. So I graduated magna cum laude from Wizard College.
So you're the valedictorian too.
I'm the valedictorian of
because everyone else is expelled.
Wizard College. I don't know how they all wound up in such scandalous situations and caught obviously breaking such rules. But yes,
that's hilarious.
I do LARP. It is a part of one of my jobs. I even got we had these little Valentine's Day cards made for all of our NPC characters. I don't have one with me right now, but like mine was, I have a remedy for that, and I'm holding a knife threateningly, and in small print it says, "The knife is the remedy."
The knife is the...
But yes.
I named my knife Remedy. That's
yes,
hilarious.
I also play Magic the Gathering. I have a large board game collection because I mentioned how I kickstarted a lot of things before. Pretty much all the little nerdy things I do. And yes, I go to the Ren Fair a lot as well, which is LARP adjacent. I'm in Texas, so we happen to have Ren Fairs for 75% of this year between the Texas Renaissance Festival, Sherwood, and what is it? It's based on a song. Scarborough Fair is the other one.
Oh, cool.
And then we
very
have
popular song.
And then we have Dickens on the Strand for Victorian during the winter time. So there's really only like 3 months where there's not some kind of fantasy kind of large gathering happening.
So you're Ren Fairing year round, basically.
Basically, but I have a lot of friends who work at it. My kitchen knife was made by sword makers who work at the Ren Fair.
Very cool.
They were like, "Oh, we love you. We would love to make you a knife." And so they took my Chinese cleaver and my Japanese hantoku and basically made a hybrid of the two. Cool. That's now my kitchen knife. And it's normally like, some of their swords go for like $3 to $10,000 depending on what they're making. So to have them make a knife for me was really special.
It's amazing. Do you have the knife nearby?
I do. Hold on one second.
Cool. Wham, I pulled up my my mood lantern for the map there. Appreciate you dropping in today, Wim. It really means a lot that you would drop by the stream today.
Sorry to change the rating of the chat with weapons around, but yes, it is a very thin, very sharp knife.
Very cool.
Like,
hold it up a little bit higher.
Oh,
you cut it. Dang. Impressive.
So yes, it just can grab any little burl and...
Don't cut yourself. Be careful.
Oh no, I worked in kitchens for years. But yes, they took my Japanese cleaver and my Santoku, traced the shape of it, made this fit exactly my hand. And no, it's not Damascus. It's a custom blend of steels they use that's fairly sturdy and made for actual wear and work, not just to be pretty.
Cool.
They call that level of steel Balrog. They have like Avalon, Balrog. I forget their C grade one that they use for their basic knives, but and they also have Bright Knight, which is their shiny but functional one for like LARP weapons. But the joys of working in a more creative field with the Ren Fair and things like that is I do get to make friends with people who do jewelry, candles. I also used to do magic at the Ren Fair. I had wrist-mounted fireball launchers at one point.
Oh, cool. So it's like the kind of the stuff they do for like magic, illusions and whatnot.
Not just like...
Do you know a leather worker? Because isn't there all the armor dealers usually at Ren Fairs?
There are. We used to have a person at my current job who would do leather work too. So whenever we had pieces of leather we wanted for our crafting at the Tiny Minotaur, he would make them. Unfortunately, he moved. I do think our new door guardian does leather work too, and woodworking. It's when you wind up in a nerdy place, you meet a bunch of people who are very, very creative in multiple fields. No one is happy doing one thing.
Isn't there a term for people who do that? They have multiple fields of expertise.
I think the term is polymath.
Polymath, that's right.
Is there a build you really want to make when Fun with Objects 2 comes out? There are a couple of stables, and one of the things I really love doing is you come across a cart that's ransacked. So I'd love to be able to start rotating things and flipping things over just for those random, like, oh, we're traveling 5 days from kingdom to kingdom. So I like to have them have those random encounters. So yes, Sasu, also neurospicy. Most people I know fit that label quite well.
Another question here from Geronimo. What's your session media? Do you do VTT, printed, TV tabletop? What's your preferred?
My preferred is in person, where we flip a table over and we do it that way. But
flip
we
the
have
screen
done a
over,
lot of,
you mean?
We put the screen on its side.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's just tabletop. And then, yeah, we just have some little, like, a wooden frame that the TV kind of sits on top of on the table, and then a black tablecloth as our fog of war. But we have used Foundry a lot, and I do like that this just sinks right into Foundry.
Fantastic. I got one more question from Geronimo, and then we'll wrap up and let you be about your way. By the way, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today and hanging out with us on stream. This last question is from Geronimo. What was the greatest challenge in the early days while moderating?
Oh, I mean, one of the early days is just, I guess people expected DA to do a lot more than the early beta could, and we're pushing DA to its limits, and things are constantly breaking. We were finding bugs left and right and keeping track of them, reporting them. I feel like women Carol never slept because they were always on Discord replying to things back then. But we were really just kind of keeping track and helping people figure out what their computers can handle, what DA can do, how to stop DA from crashing. Kind of a lot of the same things now, just a lot more. It is a much more polished software than it was, gosh, what was that, 4 years ago? I don't remember when the beta was.
The roadmap says exactly when. I also wasn't part of the team, but that's pre-Kickstarter. So the Kickstarter was February 9th, 2021.
Yeah, well, I guess we closed the beta chat in 2022.
I joined the team like the week before we launched Abandoned Ruins.
Okay, so right after we left beta, basically. So yeah,
go ahead.
At least 4 years.
I remember one of my first tasks being brought on as the team was to edit a trailer for Abandoned Ruins.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm not even one of the earliest mods. Like, so many people were here before me. Dag, for instance. Dag actually told everyone, because I joke that I'm a grandma because I'm always the older one hanging out with all the little children who work the various jobs I have. So I joke that I'm a grandma, and I also carry like hard candies in my purse. I meet the stereotype quite well. But yeah, so I remember I found a way that one could get the Kickstarter exclusive items without having paid for them.
Talk about that.
And I told Dag about it, and Dag told Carol. We got in touch, and he patched it. And they were like, you're always on, you're answering questions. Why don't you just get the fancy orange mantle of power, the OMOP as they call it? But yeah, the original people were Dag, German Viking, Aston, Octopi, several we don't see, but Dag stayed around.
We just can't get rid of Dag for some reason. I'm just kidding.
Dag is actually an ancient lich, and his soul is in DA. There's no getting rid of him. Dungeon Alchemist is his phylactery. But no.
Dag stays for the SpaghettiOs and being able to ban people.
I have a question. Does anybody know what Dag's special asset is in Dungeon Alchemist?
No, the imp on the logo, that's Hendrik of the Pits.
Sack knows it. It's the flowers. There's like these oxalis flowers that are Dags.
These little flowers here.
Yep, they were one of the earliest flowers like that in the maps, and so those are Dags. Sack likes to butter up the moderators in all of his maps, it seems.
By the way, welcome to the stream, Touch of Evil. We're just wrapping up an interview with one of our moderators, Remy. Remy, I just got to say thank you again so much for hanging out with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. So nice to chat with you face to face, and also, just get to know you as a creator and as a person. Thank you for all you do, and we appreciate all you've done in the past as well. And if anyone has...
don't talk down about yourself like that. We all love the flowers.
If anyone has any, last minute statements, any positive words for our friend Remy before she takes off today, now is the time. Again, thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. I know when I reached out to you, you're like, wait, what? You want me on? I was like, of course I want you on.
Well, I mean, we have Asmodeus, who's like been teaching people how to make 3D objects and has made so
I've
many
had
community
Asmodeus on.
ones. I was like, I can't talk nearly as much as Asmodeus, and I'm not nearly as exciting as when we get Wim or Carol or any of the other like actual developers. I was always just the nice mod, the one who's like, okay, let's bring it back just a touch, add a little sugar to that, like go in and diffuse situations, add that little feminine energy to things. But
Well, thank you again for all you've done and all you do. And we'll see you around the streams and the Discord. Everyone, thank you again. Let's give Remy a big thank you and a round of applause if we can, and then we'll see her on her way. Thank you so much, Remy. Appreciate you so much.
bye.
Bye. Here, I'm going to go ahead and drop you off the stream. Okay, fantastic. So awesome to get a guest like Remy on. Well, all of our guests have just been amazing. We also had a follow and a subscribe here in the last little bit. So Gecko Meko Chan followed about 20 minutes ago. Thank you, Gecko, on Twitch. And Javier over on YouTube subscribed about 10 minutes ago. Thank you, Javier. Much appreciated. And thank you, everyone that tuned in for that interview. The stream is going to continue. We have a few more segments before we wrap up today. In fact, our next segment is Q&A, so questions. So if you have any Dungeon Alchemist related inquiries, whether you just have questions in general about how it functions, maybe you're new to our community and are trying to find something and not sure where it is, or you are looking to purchase Dungeon Alchemist and you just have questions about how it functions, let us know here in chat. And I will do my best to provide you answers in real time in AMA format, which means ask me anything. So as long as it's Dungeon Alchemist related, I will do my best to assist you. So for the next, about, let's say 20 to 30 minutes or so, we will be providing Q&A for Dungeon Alchemist. Honestly, our community really is amazing. I'm looking at your statement. Mac, you've really gathered a very eclectic mix of fascinating personalities for all your interviews so far. I honestly, our community is just awesome in general. I think it's a sort of a lightning rod for creatives. And, obviously we have a huge community of dungeon masters and game masters, people who put in the time and effort for their friends and family to play games, going above and beyond to create content for that and run those games, sort of thanklessly and endlessly. There's a lot of forever DMs in our viewer audience here. That said, I think that Dungeon Alchemist is a great sort of catalyst for creative types to sort of channel their creative energy into making things that the maps that they wanted that they couldn't necessarily translate in their favorite or favored style or art style. Drawing a map isn't always great for some people like myself. When I draw, it just looks like stick figures and scribbles. So Dungeon Alchemist really allows me to express myself more creatively when it comes to map making. And yeah, this is a very supportive community. I dare say the best damn community in the world. I've been a member in a lot of different communities over the years, moderator in some, and I've never really ran into such a wholesome group of people that loves to help each other out, provide support constantly, and is just so supportive of the dev team and their endeavors too when it comes to the time and let's just say the amount of development and care the devs put into each asset and each feature. So I'm sure some people were expecting Dungeon Alchemist to be, completed a little bit sooner and whatnot, but the devs do put a lot of care into making sure everything, is very functional. Okay, that said, let's move on to our question segment. So if you have any questions, for myself, Dungeon Alchemist related, please let me know, and we will do our best to provide you real-time assistance. gonna pull up a map from the workshop. Let's pull up this one. Zaganza, if you're still working on the map and you haven't like closed it and reloaded it, you could always undo with like Control Z. Control Z will undo until they're all gone. Alternatively, you can use the object eraser. Unfortunately, there is no way to just tag a specific asset and delete all of those. I could have sworn I downloaded this earlier. What is going on? Oh well. If it's a workshop asset, you could unsubscribe from it, and then it will delete that asset from the map. What exactly have you gotten yourself into? Let's try and see if we can find a workaround. Touch of Evil asks, on Twitch asks, was trying to make a map based on the region of the world, Greyhawk, the land of black ice. Is there a way to make a place a darker layer over part of the Arctic map? To know to transition to dark ice. Interesting. Yeah, you could maybe put like a lighting effect over it, as Atlam suggested. In the lighting tab on the left side of the left menu, there's a lighting tab, and in there's abstract lights. Those lights are essentially allow you to add lighting effects to your map without the light itself being present when you export. So the light housing disappears upon export, but the light it generates remains. So there's a bunch of different filters for the lights. There's darker filters, different colors. You could try something there and see if it works. There's like a dark purple hue you might want to add over the ice and see if that gets what you're looking for. Alternatively, let's see here. Another option to make the area look like black ice, we have a bunch of stones, right? It's different stonework in our nature section of our object menu. But one of these stones is unique. The sandstone rocks, they give you the ability to change their color, unlike all the other stones we offer. I'm not sure why we chose only this one stone, but it's got a unique property in that you can adjust its color. So you can set it to a dark black color and everything in between, including a white color. So you can get like a snow or maybe a black ice kind of look. Wim, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. Hey, you have a wonderful night. It's always a pleasure to have you on, whether as a guest or a chatter. Thank you again. Hey, Kopi, thank you for the raid. Much appreciated. How you doing? Yeah, the colorable sandstone is kind of the go-to to make ice sort of mountains and ranges. Hey, Kopi, thank you for the raid. Much appreciated, much appreciated. How did the one shot go? Let's hear about it. Zaganza, is this your map here? Ah, okay. I was like, wait, I know the name is Avernus on Steam, so I wanted to make sure. And I know we have a map maker by that name in chat. You did a homebrew copy? Nice, nice. Let's hear about it. I'm assuming you were using Dungeon Alchemist maps. Honestly, Zaganza, this map is fire, and I read it, loved it, absolutely loved it. It's given off some Sea of Thieves vibes, right? I love the skull here that you made. I'm sure this took a lot of time. How many hours did you put into this? Dead men tell no tales. Dang. You know, we need to do a damn challenge where it's stock assets only again. It'd be pretty fun. But honestly, this map is really beautiful. You've done a really good job on these kind of forced perspective builds as of late. Nice, Kopi. Nice. What's your favorite thing about Dungeon Alchemist so far? And did your players enjoy the session today? Oh, this map is amazing. It's absolute fire. Great job putting the breakwater assets around the edge to make it look more realistic. Yeah, Raiders, thank you, Kopi, for raiding and for bringing your viewers over. Raiders, thank you for being here. Appreciate you very much. Hope you're enjoying the stream thus far. We're answering questions in AMA format for Dungeon Alchemist. So if you have any Dungeon Alchemist related inquiries, supports, or otherwise, you want to know how a certain map was made, or how to approach a certain way to build something, or how to export something correctly, or maybe you're running into a problem and you need guidance with it, that's what I'm here for. Man, so many moderators today. We've got Asmodeus, Atlam, Remy, Seisu. If Dag was here, we'd have a full deck. I think this is wonderful, though. Oh, stream's too interesting. You're doing a talk on ladybirds on Wednesday? Very cool. I mean, you know a lot about them already, so I'm sure you don't need to prepare that much. But that said, I'm sure you'll do really well inside here. The little room there. Before the end of the year will be our full release, and then we'll continue offering free updates until we've delivered on all our stretch goals from our Kickstarter. So here, let me pull up the roadmap really quickly. Where did I put it? Accidentally moved it into a different folder. Oh my. Gonna open it back up from the Discord. One moment. Oh, there it is. I accidentally saved it on my desktop. My bad. So this is our roadmap, our upcoming roadmap and past roadmap. So you can see all our past updates, right? And then future planned releases. So before the end of the summer, we hope to launch 2 more updates. One is the fine print patch, which hopefully should be launched in like the next month. And then the other will be Fun with Objects Part 2, which will be before the end of the summer. And then we're hoping to go full release before the end of the year. After which, our first update next year will be the High Seas, which is very heavily anticipated. Basically the ability to build ships and, sea-based maps and biome, etc. And then beyond that, there still will be, you know, water worlds, instant dungeons, etc. We'll just leave this map open while we're answering questions. Yeah, Zaganza, you did a great job on this one for sure. Yeah, let's try a different time of day. Is there any questions that I missed, Atlam? I want to make sure I get them all. What you should do is throw an abstract light in here, right? Brighten it up a little bit. Let's see what this looks like here. Oh, that's fire. Looks so good. Isn't it, Pike? It's a really good map. This is available on the Steam Workshop, by the way. Yeah, so I wanted to bring attention to that and make the eyes pop by putting a light in there, because the fireflies don't necessarily broadcast a light. You know what I mean? So that was the point behind the abstract. I just wanted to see what it looked like at night with a light in it. Not to take away from your work. I just like to experiment with different times of day, different lighting, stuff like that. So now, if you look at it, now the light from the cave is really emanating, right? Just like really bright. And you really see the eye and the nose, or the eyes and the nose. Really like these arches. Very cool. Very cool. Kopi, did the party survive? Did you get a TPK in your one shot? How'd it go? One player died? Oh no, what happened? Let's hear about it. Let's regale us with the tale of your game. Yeah, I knew what Red Dog meant. Going gold is usually what people say when a software is going full release. I want to check out this little shack. First things first, I'm going to disable collisions, then I'm going to go grab me a token. Am I not clicking this? Oh, way down there, that's why. Well, I am just too large to get in there, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm noticing the scale. Let's look at the scale here. So this is a great example of using forced perspective to make a large map fit in a much smaller space. So this map is only 35 by 25, which you wouldn't think that by looking at it at a glance. And look here, the entire island is like 20 squares, 30 squares or less. So that's really small. The lighthouse is only like 4 squares. So this is a great example of, you know, making assets seem larger than they are with forced perspective. Oh my gosh, he tried to steal from another player, man. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, party PvP is never fun unless the whole party agrees to it, right? And stealing from another player is definitely PvP. This is very epic, though. Here. I'll pull up another example of forced perspective. That's exactly what I was going to discuss today for our feature showcase. So, it doesn't look like any more questions are coming in. We can answer questions as they come in then. And I will switch us over to the feature showcase. Or the workshop showcase, I mean. Excuse me. So, Dungeon Alchemist, obviously, if you use the room generation tools and use the objects, everything's kind of set to a certain scale, right? But you can work around that scale using objects and by disabling collisions. So if you disable collisions, an object, you have much more control over it. We like to say this on stream: when you disable collisions, you enable the fun. Essentially, when collisions are on, objects become, especially bridges, like it's trying to make extra connection points. It won't overlap with some other things, and it becomes problematic with these red outlines. If you have collisions off, the bridge can merge with another bridge, which I didn't even know it was until we saw that and pulled it apart. You can oversize things far above and below their normal sizes. So in this case, scaling something down or up can make it seem like it's a much larger thing than it normally is. Oh yeah, let me lower my camera. I forgot about that. Sorry. My bad. Whoop. This map here is nuts. It's actually Legend of Zelda, the entire overworld map. You could also have a forced perspective version of like a regional map. It's not like your players walk through that per se. They more just move from region to region and then have encounters in between, right? There is a global scale for all objects. You can go anywhere between 50% to 200% scaling for all objects in the object menu, and this also applies to tokens, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, it does not apply to tokens. Looks like it just applies to objects. To know. Interesting. I did not know it did not work with tokens, though. That should work with them for sure. But yeah, the advanced options in the object menu, you have universal object scaling. So when you set the scale to 200%, it's more like giant scale. If you set it to 50, it's more like halfling scale. That said, this feature isn't currently tied to room generation. So if you generate a room, the scale of the object is still set to our default scale. Objects that you grab from the object menu will automatically rescale. So this will rescale all the objects in the object menu automatically, but that's it. This is the first iteration of this feature too. It was released with the Fun with Objects update in July last year. So I'm sure with time they'll probably link it to room generation. But remember, the object size is a very core part of how the AI recognizes where it goes and where to place it and where it can be. And by that I mean our procedural dumb AI that is like a last gen AI, nothing like, modern day generative AIs that use up tons of water and whatnot. It's completely different. So It does not affect wall-mounted objects, but there is ways to affect the size of wall-mounted objects. If you want to know, I'll teach you right now. So wall-mounted objects, certain objects like wall-mounted objects are fixed size. So they will always mount to the wall correctly. But you can work around that if you grab a freestanding wall from the object menu, right? Make sure collisions are on, and then grab one of your wall mountable objects. In this case, I'm going to just do like a lamp or something, okay? So snap it on there. Because a freestanding wall can be resized, I can then resize this, and the object attached to it also scales with it. So once you have it the size you want, then you can duplicate it. But using a freestanding wall is kind of a fun way to work around the limitations. Be wary though, some walls, after you resize them, it's hard to grab their collider again. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, the collider like gets shrunk and disappears. It might even just be down on the ground. There it is. It's like down here in this central part. It doesn't expand the collider with it for some reason. So anyway, any wall mountable object can take advantage of that. That was actually discovered by Sack, one of our very prolific map makers. And he shared that, that sort of bug feature with the community. We like to call it cram. That was actually a term coined by Remy, if I'm not mistaken. CRAM is essentially an acronym that means creative asset misuse. So it's just, you know, in Dungeon Alchemist, you can make all sorts of things if you get creative with the items that you're using. And that's just a perfect example of that. Man, we had to get really creative with that old build. It's crazy how much easier it's gotten. I feel like we spent almost 3 times as much time building the first map as we did the second one. Just because we had to like experiment with editing the damn file to get it right. Anybody ever play Legend of Zelda? Like on the old like NES, it's like the gold cartridge. Creative asset misuse. Yep. Oh. Are any of you working on maps today? Or doing any session prep? Or did you get any games in this weekend so far? Or have any games planned for later this weekend? My next game is next Sunday. Just finished the Music Emporium. Nice. Oh, you're working on Overgrown, Chim? Speaking of Overgrown, our Dam Challenge, our bi-weekly map-making contest that we host here on our stream and in our Discord server, the theme for that is Overgrown. So if you want to participate in the contest, you make a map of any shape or size using Overgrown as inspiration, and then you submit that map to the Dam Challenge channel in our Discord. You have a deadline for submission, which is between now and the end of day on Friday the 6th, so March 6th. So you have a little under a week to build a map and submit it to the Dam Challenge channel in our Discord. At the top of the channel, there's some pins. There is some rules pinned at the top. Please check those rules out. Follow them for your submission, because if you don't follow the rules, your submission isn't qualified. If you qualify your map, you have a chance to win a $10 Hero Forge gift card, and your map is the first map featured during the Dam Challenge segment during our stream on the 7th of March. Additionally, your map is featured in our weekly newsletter. Every week I put together a newsletter showing upcoming events, cool assets shared on the workshop, tips and tricks for your builds. And here you can see this was the previous winner, Lilandra Blue, who won the Prison Dam Challenge with her Sky Prison map. Very beautiful map, very cool build. Encourage you to check it out. Now, that said, if you're the winning map, your map is featured in the newsletter, and you get a $10 Hero Forge gift card. Oh no, Anani. What? Random Ladybird? Someone canceled with 10 minutes notice? I'm so sorry. That's a bummer. You know, I hope it was like, I hope they're okay. Because usually if they're canceling like that, it's got to be some kind of an emergency, right? Like, if they're canceling 10 minutes too, and they just were thinking about canceling all day and just did it, that's disrespectful. Y'all be respectful to your DMs and other players' times, you know, and like their commitments and their session prep and everything. Like, so much work and effort goes into session prepping just a single game of D&D. And like, for a player to cancel last minute, so disheartening as a creator, as a DM. You know, you can always run the session with your players and maybe do like a backup session or encounter or something. But usually, you know, the story progresses when everyone's there, right? It's a group activity. So it makes it hard on everyone that was ready to go and was going to be there on time. Oh, I thought it was Remy that invented it, the acronym. My bad. Well, regardless, I'm sorry they canceled Random Ladybird. Like, that's a whole work week, man. That's like a second job just for session prep for your games, Anani. So, like, if you think about it, if one of your players cancels last minute, I mean, that's kind of disrespectful of your time. I know life comes first, you know, like, you know, your family obligations, your work obligations, your health always comes first, right? But if you've committed to something with people, other adults who also have family and work and hobbies and other commitments that they are putting on the sideline to hang out with you, I don't know. I think some people don't realize that, like that they are literally inconveniencing a whole group. That's not to say your person is doing this. This has just been my experience in the past with some people who have flaked out. My current group really has never had this issue. We've never had this problem. We've only had a couple times where someone has missed a session in over a year, and it was because like a work training that he couldn't get out of, or someone was moving. So it's like real excuses. Like, so you played a board game instead? What game did you play? I mean, you as the DM are putting out feelers, just trying to see if they're going to make it. If you're trying to remind them, you know, weeks in advance or a week in advance or 5 days before, and if they just don't say anything, yeah, that's kind of a childish behavior. Pergola sounds like an interesting name for a game. Isn't that like what those awnings are called that like have the slatted wood pieces, so it like gives like a slatted shading? I really love like all this. So this is another map by Zaganza. And like I said, they've been making a lot of cool maps lately that have that forced perspective where they shrink down assets to make it feel like a much larger area. Let's take guesses as to how big this map is. Anyone want to take a guess as to how many squares this map is? Zaganza, you can't guess, because you know. 15 by 10, 20 by 40. So you know forced perspectives involved, so you're already thinking smaller. This is lovely. What is a normal size asset compared to what you have here? I like how you fixed the word what, but not the other one. Here, let's test. Canoe, right? We have this canoe. This is the stock size of that canoe. So it's roughly about 1/10 of its normal size or less. So our friend here disabled collisions, which allows you to scale objects far below their normal sizes, right? Also, to save yourself some time, you can always put the scaling down to 50% to start, right? So when you drop in an object, it's already a reduced size, and then you just reduce from that. And also remember, when you get an object to scale, if you're going to need several of them, copy off of the one you've already scaled. That way it's the exact size. Yeah, what is this? A village for ants? It's a gnome valley. Technically, this is like an overworld for like a whole village, a whole city region, you know? But let's look at it from the overlay layer, which allows you to see the whole map at once. So you've got like this snowy mountainous region behind, all of these farms. Like this is acreage, acres and acres of farms, right? This is probably like, I'd say 50 to 100 acres of farms, and then a little village city attached. The map is 47 by 40. Considering it has all this crammed into it is insane. You should have done 39 or 41 by 41. You just went right over. No, I'm just kidding. Done the Price is Right bidding. So they are using a combination of terrain and objects here, Kopi. So some of it is terrain and a lot of it is just like objects. Like this is just one big piece. Which one's the inn? I'm assuming it's one of these, right? Ah, you shrunk one down for exploring. Now if I can only click it. The fact that you decorated inside these is nuts. This token speed runs. like so fast. Look at all these little details. Ah, the music was never put back on. You're right. Am I just so boring with no music? Alrighty. But yet another great example of forced perspective. Oh, very beautiful map, though. Very well done. Yeah, there's like a whole forest over here. I think before I open this next map, I'm going to set my computer to low because this next map is a monster. This is an entire map of Faerun. Oh. Gonna take a minute for this map to load because it's so monstrous. It'll be fine though. It'll load. I just gotta be patient. Usually, if your computer's running like slow or lagging out or giving you errors like "Hey, close" or "Wait" with DA, just wait. 9 times out of 10, it'll fix itself. Goodness, it's taking its time though. Oh. This map is insanely large, so it does take some time to load almost every time I do this. This was done some time ago too. They didn't use the rock trick to make the white snow mountains up here or any at all. So probably could be redone to a better detail. Insane, right? Oh. Another great example of forced perspective. This map is quite large, though. 257 by 254. Yep. Roll for WTF. This is a whole regional, map for Faerun. To be honest with you, world maps, regional maps are very resource intensive with Dungeon Alchemist because it's mainly designed for encounter maps, battle maps. It can do some cities and villages and whatnot, but when it comes to large scale regional maps, usually you can only make them if your computer is like a really powerful machine. The larger the map you make usually requires, more processing power, better graphics card, more RAM, etc., to just run on average. That being said, though, there's people with computers that have 4 or 5 year old hardware, and they're able to make maps over 100 by 100 easily. So it's possible. Yeah, you would honestly, just running this map makes my computer cry, and I'm on low settings. And this map, I'm on, I'm in 2560 by 1440 at the moment, and this map is a 250 square by 250 square map. It's a big map. But keep in mind, normally 250 square map by 250 squares wouldn't be enough for Faerun. So this creator got very creative with forced perspective, scaling things down to make it seem like a whole region. You know what I mean? That's the grid scale here. That's something to consider, Kopi. Some VTTs have limitations on how many walls they can support. They also have limitations on resolution and also file size. So keep in mind when you're making a map that's a certain size, it may be troublesome to, import with all the wall data depending on your virtual tabletop. Which VTT are you using? Foundry? Above? Yeah, I know Above has wall limits. That's kind of limitations built into the UVTT format, which wasn't actually developed by Above. It's developed by Dungeon Draft, I believe, or someone like that. Basically, it was made by someone to be a universal export format that a lot of different companies use. Above does, Harpy VTT, Encounter Plus, a bunch of companies use it. But yeah, they do have a wall limitation. I was going to ask you if you use Above because I've ran into that before. because all their walls, windows, and doors are recognized as like the same thing in their virtual tabletop. So it's very quick, like easy to quickly go over the limit. Oh, that said, above VTT is really cool. It's great for a free virtual tabletop. The fact that it integrates directly with D&D Beyond is very powerful. Yeah, if you're not worried about the wall data and stuff, right, and the lighting data, then usually you don't need the UVTT format. You can just do an image. But, you know, if it's a smaller map, the walls usually work just fine. Like if it isn't hundreds and hundreds of walls, it's usually just fine. Oof. I gotta say, my sciatica is flaring up like crazy right now. I gotta get up and walk around for a minute. I'm gonna take a quick break. Hey, see you later, Roll for what WTF. Thank you for being here. Sorry about that. I've returned. Oh. I see this from both ends of the spectrum, Atlam and Ani. Someone who moderates a Discord with a lot of fake accounts cropping up trying to scam our community. Part of me wants this age verification stuff, or like at least some ID verification so accounts are tied to a real person instead of just bot farms, right? That would be one thing I'd like to get rid of entirely. And I feel like that's a great way to do it. But at the same time, I understand people want to maintain their privacy and anonymity online. It's a double-edged sword, and it also opens the door later, to protect the kids now. It's like, well, we're going to need your ID later to protect you too. It just opens the door for more like privacy loss and like more right loss. And I do think that not only has Discord kind of circled back on this, they announced the other day that they've kind of heard everyone's feedback and they're taking it into account and are going to change some things. But didn't they sever ties with the company too that was doing it, or at least one of them? Like it was like one of Peter Thiel's companies or something. The other concern, is the data getting stolen or getting into the wrong hands if it's not properly. But the guy who created Discord created it to hang out with his friends, right, and chat, and he understands that's what a lot of us use it for, and they just want to protect that mentality and protect people in these groups. And some servers have thousands of people, and there's going to be nefarious actors in these types of servers when there's that many people. So basically, he explained further that like any ID stuff would be strictly tied to adult-only servers. Like, so if it's an 18-plus server, they would require an ID for that. But for the vast majority of users, there will not be any ID verification required. Also, are we just to trust Discord as a custodian for our personal data all of a sudden? Sorry, I'm a little congested, so I'm going to use my Vicks inhaler. Having a hard time breathing out my nose lately. I think it's just seasonal stuff. Anyway, that said, they did announce that they're kind of changing course on that, and it probably won't be nearly as rigorous as it was going to be. And like, I could see why people want to keep their privacy, but I also could see why they want to protect those who are like getting scammed and the blatant amount of like AI bots I have to deal with every month. Like, I ban like 50 to 100 accounts from our server every month, because Discord tells me these accounts are actively spamming, DMing people, or acting suspicious. So, yeah. And that doesn't count all the other ones that are banned that come in and spam the random channels. That it's like 10, 20 a month from the mods. That being said, I feel like it'll make it harder to create multiple accounts or maintain them. But, I mean, if people are desperate enough to have bot farms, they could always get fake IDs. Like, there's going to be a way around this, right? There's going to be ways to fake verify it with AI and IDs, and you know what I mean? It won't be hard. So I'm assuming that it probably will blow up colossally. I assume they would backpedal, to be honest, like they have. So we'll see how it goes. While I was out stretching my leg and walking around, I refilled my water, and nothing hits harder than just a bunch of cool water. You know what I mean? Water's the OG fresh maker. That's the same that show up for ours too, our Discord. So our Discord is public, right? It's not a private Discord, which means it's shared publicly on Discord's like front-facing thing that's where the search and discovery area. And we have our links shared on like our social media, and there's commands for it on the stream. We have links everywhere for our Discord. So I'm sure there's bots that like troll the internet for Discord invites and then try and join. We get people joining every day. Plenty are legitimate, but there's a good portion that are illegitimate. I claim to have legs. Yeah, right? Touch of evil. That's funny. You're hilarious. Found another kind of forced perspective map. This is a continent. Oh my goodness, I've been so busy with an activity lately, a couple activities. So I purchased a bunch of lumber for 2 projects. One is I'm making a craft table for my Mrs. Mac, for her like sewing and painting and whatnot. She has a table, but it's like a folding table, and I wanted to make her something nicer that has like tote storage, rolls around, has like a drafting kind of lifting like angle so it can tip up and stuff. Yeah, the cloud use was really clever. For sure. Exactly, Kopi. That's the thing. People are in our server to learn about Dungeon Alchemist, not be harassed by bots for commissions, right? Or scam them, or whatever, you know? Get them to click on a link so they can get into their computer, any number of things, right? You can do miracles with Photoshop. Yeah, have you seen the things AI can do nowadays, Atlam? Are you sure I actually have legs? Also, just throwing this out there, but myself and Batman are never in the same place for some reason. Can you generate a picture of my community manager with the normal amount of legs, please? The rolling clouds over the hills is great. The outhouse is really just... The outhouse is carrying a lot of weight here. It's probably like a little village in the mountains, technically. Like, it's bigger than a boat, so yeah. I am also a real human. I do human activities, like breathing. Also, I consume really good food. I've been dying watching these videos on TikTok lately. It's a guy showing how he's making fun of AI, how Hollywood's saying AI will replace actors soon. And like some companies are already starting to use AI to do like small commercials and stuff, and it's pretty bad, but he'll like give it simple directions like please just say this thing, like 5 words, and say it enthusiastically, and then it'll be like, okay, I'm going to enthusiastically say these 5 words. Like, what? Okay. Like it just doesn't listen. Or it does something completely unexpected or opposite, contrary to what you would expect. All right. So let's talk about effects really quickly for our last segment of the stream before we wrap up. I'm sure many of you have played with the effects in Dungeon Alchemist. And if you haven't, let me show you what I'm talking about. Mouse highlighter has been off. How long has that been off? I thought I turned it on earlier. Okay, must have crashed. Anyway. You can add animated effects to your maps. And these are a great tool to just add a little bit of vibrance, realism, if you will. They're located under this tab in the left menu, so the second from the bottom. And there are at least, 10, 20 different effects to choose from at this time. Simple things like fireflies, fey fireflies, or, regular fireflies. There's also will-o-wisps. These ones are pretty fun. Electric arcs are always neat too. You could have some just like cool magical effects taking place in an area. There are fog or smoke effects. This encapsulates things like steam, different colored fogs and smokes. There is this necrotic fog, which is green with skulls in it. It's kind of fun. It's like a poison fog. I guess that's more like a poison fog. But you get the idea. The effects are a great way to just add a little bit of finishing touches to your detail. Oh, nice. Barovia's got to just be covered in fog, right? That's like the vibe. Wispy white fog is always fun. Especially like on the shores here. With effects, you can change the brush size and the density or intensity, how often it places the effect. You can also clear effects with that tool, the clear effects brush. And it essentially matches the size of your effect brush and allows you to get rid of them if you don't want them. Some people even use the black smoke as a way to offer like a limited fog of war. They just kind of fill in an area with it. Keep in mind, though, like effects use a lot of processing power, and they also don't necessarily loop perfectly if you export video loops. So it's a good idea to use effects minimally if you can, and usually only add them to your map last, especially if you have a computer that's not that powerful or kind of dated. They will definitely be noticeable on your map when they're there. So what I usually do is I'll make a splintered version of my map, another save, so save as, and then that one will be with effects. So I have a master map without effects and one with it. But you can use this black fog if you get it in there deep enough to be a fog of war. However, covering the entire map with this, especially a large map, would be, make some computers cry. So I'm assuming where you place it on an invisible abstract is the trick you're talking about. Zaganza. That's what it is. Yeah, so yeah, that's an old trick. It's an oldie but a goodie. So if you go to the abstract object menu, I'm just going to disable collisions so I have more control over this, and I'm going to grab the large flat plane here. What is going on? I'm going to place this here, and I'm actually going to oversize this plane quite large here. And then I'm going to leave it as this color for now, so it's easy to see and whatnot. You can grab the effects, like we were just using, right? Let's put some fire on this, right? I'm going to paint a bunch of fire. Is there that weird line there? Interesting. Anyway, you can raise this, right? And then the effects on it go up with it. So everything that was on top of it moves with it. And then you can actually insert a custom image into this green thing here. So I'm just going to put a blank PNG. So now it's just like floating fire, and I can move it up and down, move that around, because it's all on top of that thing. Notice how my computer is just crying from this, though. At this time, I believe effects are limited to the base, floor, and terrain unless you use a trick like this. It's a neat little workaround for sure. Okay. I think it's time to wrap up the stream, everyone. I am very sore. It's having a hard time sitting right now because my sciatica is flaring up. I need to get up and walk around a bit, stretch, go eat some food, and take some medicine. Kopi, you just published a map. Let's take a look at it really quick, and then we'll wrap up, okay? This one here. Is it public? If you published it and you set it to friends only or private, it won't be visible here. Alternatively, if you did just publish it, there's usually between like 5 and 30 minutes for a moderator period where a moderator on Steam glances at it just to make sure it doesn't violate anything. So, and that's not something we do. It's a Steam based. But I'm looking by most recent now in maps, and it's not there unless it's one of these like 5 right here, right? Oh, you published it a week or so. What is the map called? Sorry, I thought you meant you just published it. My bad. Whoa. That looks cool. Kopi, what's your Steam name? Is it this one here? You said Barovia. So I thought maybe this one. This is the one? Load this up real quick. Take a look at it. Oh. I want to make sure there wasn't a second floor. I really love these booths. They're like my favorite. Little kitchen. Some dirty dishes. Wine cellar. A bar with a little door for it too. Not often do people do that, so that's smart. Really like the fog outside too. Yeah, that makes... Yeah, I was gonna say that is definitely very Barovia. Very cool, very cool. Did you use any abstract lighting in your build? Looks like you did not. Just stock lighting. Cool. Just a heads up, you can use abstract lighting to your advantage, Kopi, to make like kind of set a mood. So you've got like this thing here, it's kind of green around it, right? We could put another one here. Maybe add more to that green. Or we could use a different color over in like the fog. Or even outside. Something kind of purplish really adds to the mood. But these lights are invisible upon export. Just the light they cast remains. Isn't that really cool? Weird. I feel like my headset just picked up someone else's audio for a minute. Like another device. That was really weird. Anyway. Very nice. Yep, these the lights in this menu are invisible on export. Just the light they cast remains. So watch, when you put them up, they could be all over your map, right? Adding extra light. But when you're in, let's say, in first person or any camera mode, the light is no longer there. Just the light it casts. Yep, they're great for bioluminescence or mood lighting. But they're invisible upon export, so they're great for adding just mood lighting to the map. Yeah, they're simply tools. This one's a spotlight, so you can like aim a light somewhere. Abstracts are a very powerful tool for your map making. And remember, you can adjust the power of the light, like the brightness and the color. So you can just change the map's mood lighting in moments. And then you can hide them and boom. Very fun. Anyway, thank you everyone for participating in today's stream. Had a lot of fun hanging out with you all. Remember, we stream twice a week, every Monday and every Saturday. Our upcoming stream on Monday is called Mapmaker Monday. During that stream, I build a map live for you to watch and learn and contribute ideas to the design. This map we're building is called the Last Drop Souvenir and Souvenir Outfitter and Inn or something like that. I'm still working with the name a little bit, but it's called The Last Drop is the name of it. And it's an outfitter shop that's basically positioned really strategically right next to the only oasis or water source for hundreds of miles in any direction. Oh yeah, thank you for the reminder with that, actually. Not our next Saturday stream, but the following on the 14th of March, we have another guest. That will be Game Master Eric, who is a streamer here on Twitch and a professional DM who runs quite a few different games and streams them here on Twitch. And he also happens to be my DM. But I met him because he uses Dungeon Alchemist for his campaign. Started, checking him out, started seeing his works. And I ended up kind of, just getting to know him through his streams and his community. And I ended up hiring him for a one-shot. Was a great success and had a lot of fun with it. And I thought, man, it'd be great to get a group together to have Eric run a game for that group. So I went out and kind of started reaching out, putting out feelers to all my different friends, and got a group of my friends together. Some of them are people I've known for like 20 years, and some are people I've known for a few years, but it's still great to get them all together and play D&D together once a month and hang out together and vibe. But this game's now been going for over a year, so it's been a lot of fun. But Eric, map maker, GM, just like you all, and also hosts a flurry of different game streams here on Twitch. So if you want to dive deep into the mind of a DM GM who, has taken a professional route and, offers professional DM services, you may want to tune into that stream on March 14th. So make sure you add that to your calendar. And if you're in our Discord, you can go to the events section and make sure you are RSVP'd to the DAM show or the Dungeon Alchemist Mapmaking show and the Mapmaker Monday streams. That way you get a reminder when they go live. Anyway, enough about that. This map here is essentially an in-progress build that is multi-story, and it's made out of reclaimed wood, out of anything they had handy. So like crates and anything, right? Wagons that fell apart, anything they found in the desert, they would make this. And so we've got stables on the bottom floor here. And then up here, we're working on a general store, which we've been kind of flushing out. It'll have a little magic section, general goods, weapons, adventure gear, armor, foods, goods. And then over here, we're going to put a little souvenir spot. Still kind of working on that, but as you can see here, we got a little logo, branding stuff, and some fun things to put on them. Went to the Last Drop, and all I got was this t-shirt. I only erased it so we could see better with what we were doing. But yeah, make sure if you want to edit the map that's uploaded to the workshop, Copy, open it from the workshop. So go to your subscribed maps, open the map, then make the edit, and then it'll say update published map here instead of publish. And then you can send the update to the workshop. But just make sure you open it from your published maps here in this tab first. If you open it from your local saves and then try to upload it, it'll make you upload a whole new map of the same thing. Does that make sense? Anyway, or you could just ignore it because it's not that important. You could always remove it some other time. But we'll be working on this map Monday, expanding this shop out a bit, adding more shelves and items. And then we'll be going up to which will be the tavern and inn section. Gonna add a few rooms on either side of these halls, like this round area. And then a little tavern and some like tables and stuff here. Yeah, not really sure what else we're gonna. Oh yeah, and then the owner is gonna have a room up here. At first, I was gonna make a balcony, but I've decided against it. So we'll make this a room eventually. And then there's gonna be some campground spots, like where wagons can pull in and set up tents, like kind of cordoned off little areas. And then there's gonna be a path going through here over by the water, and then beyond, like a road that just kind of goes on into the distance. So like a lot of travelers come through this area and they have to stop by here because the water, they need the water. So not everyone has the ability to create water or manifest it magically. So this is a rest stop for many weary travelers and traders. And often they need supplies when they're here too. So they stop in the only place for hundreds of miles and, you know, get swindled. I'm thinking of having this place ran by a kobold. Looks pretty fun though. We were kind of starting to stock out the shelves and put random stuff on them. Anyway, we'll see you all Monday. That's at 9 a.m. Pacific. That's 12 p.m. Eastern or 5 p.m. UTC for the stream. And that'll run roughly 2 hours, right? 2.5 hours. And then our following stream will be next Saturday. So same damn time, same damn channel, just next Saturday. Anyway, thank you everyone for participating today. Had a lot of fun hanging out with you. It was an amazing interview with Remy. So great to get to know her, you know, on that level. You know, we've got a great interview coming up on the 14th. So make sure you add that one to your calendar as well. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Dungeon Alchemist is the wonderful tool you see in front of you. It's a map making utility, or a tool and immersion utility that allows you to make maps in a snap or spend hours making intricately detailed maps that follow your custom designs. The maps are used for tabletop gameplay and, you know, settings such as D&D or Pathfinder, primarily fantasy aesthetic, but it also can make maps for sci-fi, cyberpunk, Fallout, etc., as it's been done quite successfully and even shared in our massive repository of over 13,000 maps on the Steam Workshop, nearing 14,000 now, 13,890 maps. Wow. Quite a repository and growing every day. There is a free demo of Dungeon Alchemist available on the workshop that allows you to try before you buy, sort of give it a test drive on your computer hardware and see how well it works for you. Keep in mind the demo is a small slice of the overall pie. It's only one biome, the forest biome, where there's over 10 biomes available, 2 non-terrain biomes, and over 10 terrain biomes, I believe, 10 terrain biomes. Additionally, the full version of Dungeon Alchemist gives you access to the workshop repository of maps and 3D models shared by our community, which, combined is over 26,000 total shared, models and maps. Quite a bit. That said, demo's free, allows you to export your map and even try and use it or print it if you want, or export it for your virtual tabletop of choice. Make sure you give it a try and add Dungeon Alchemist to your wish list so you can snag it when it becomes a great deal. Like the Steam Spring Sale, which is just around the corner. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. I'm going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad and then we're going to wrap up the stream, okay? Mac out. Oh, also, hey, is it Michiel? Thank you for the follow about 10 minutes ago. Much appreciated. Welcome to the Dam Fam. Is it Mikael or Michael? Michiel? Mitch-Isle? Mikael, I'm thinking. I don't know if I got it wrong, but I apologize. Hard to pronounce. Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha. It's Dutch. Okay, now I know why I couldn't pronounce it at all. Thank you for being here and for joining the Discord. We'll see you around in future streams, hopefully. I'm assuming you followed because you want to catch us in the future, right? Anyway, sorry for calling you out. Thank you for being here, everyone. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. We'll see you next time. I give a damn. Mac out. Bye. Gonna run that quick ad. And it is Dungeon Alchemist ad. No other ads for any other companies here.
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Goyak Ta, and before
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever, find family, kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the fabled realm of Goyak Ta. Please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered map maker, on Steam today.
Chia on YouTube, I see your question. Really quickly, I want to respond to that before we wrap up, okay? Are you still there? I hope so. Just so you know, every biome has different terrain brushes. So if you go to a different biome, you get different terrain brushes. So currently, the terrain brushes are tied to specific biomes. So here you have a whole bunch of desert swatches with some limited greens. If you are in a different biome, say the forest biome, it has different swatches than, say, the desert. If you're in the snow, it has different swatches than if you are in what you get what I'm saying. So currently, yes, it is limited in the amount of terrain brushes, but to each biome. So there are close to like 100 different terrain brushes. You just have to go to the different biomes to experience them. Some of them overlap to a degree, not all of them. But we do hope to improve the terrain brush interface in the future. The devs want to improve its performance, make it run smoother, and also allow you to access pretty much any terrain paint in any biome. Oh, what did I just generate? An ice field. Let's just do a river. That being said, in the future, we hope to allow you to access all of them simultaneously in a biome, so give you quite a few. I don't know if we'll allow custom brushes. It just probably wouldn't work as easily as you're thinking, or as straightforward, because these brushes are very fine-tuned. But we likely will be adding more with time, for sure. More color for options for different terrains. Different biomes, also more water types, I'm sure. Anyway, thank you everyone for participating in the stream. I'm gonna wrap it up. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. We'll see you next damn time. Bye. Back out.